Hello.
Hello, my friends. Big Mark here. We're outside the red doors, me and Kevin. Hope everything's well.
Yep.
I left the door open so you get a view inside. Just a
Little peek.
Yeah. What?
A little peek.
Yeah, a little peek, but because there's still guys are working in the back there. But I hope everything's cool. Let me know what's going on. Let me know what's going on, Kevin. What's going on besides everything else?
Everything is same nonsense.
Same nonsense,
Same
right?
crazy things.
I threw some shorts up there because some company doing my shorts threw them up there. I hope you'd like them. Do me a favor, please like and subscribe. It means a lot to us. We're going to be filming in there. You think we'll do it before Thanksgiving? Hopefully we'll do it before Thanksgiving. We're going to film the previews. And I'm going to have the board up. I already have a guy make it. The guy made it. I just got to go pick it up. So you guys are members. You're going to see your names up there. And, I hope it satisfies you so far. Then once I get enough guys, members joining up when we do the show, he says I'll have some hats. Oh, speaking of hats, I want to show you some. I'll get off screen for a minute. This is close to my heart. Kevin's too. Kevin was in the Army. My friend Joe. These are DDS for vets. We run fundraising events to take care of your vets. If you can, help out. They have different kind of organizations that get them, the dogs. Sometimes they take the dogs back that they work with in Iran, in Iraq, and Afghanistan. So,
They're great guys. I met them too in
Right.
Real nice
great guys. I met them the other day, more of them. I'm going to meet more of them next week. I'm doing something with them, and it's really great. So respect them, say thank you. And if you could donate to DDS and help out with the vets, and it means a lot. You'd be surprised how a little bit makes somebody feel good, right? When we last started off, we were talking about, guys were asking me about, you were in Pollock? You ever been in Pollock?
And where?
Pollock.
No.
Okay, it was a guy, one of our customers said he was in Pollock with Gene. He's a nice guy, but I saw an article about, on Facebook about a woman, her father's still in prison, 91 years old.
Wow.
Very sick. He's been there, Vic Arena.
Oh, Vic.
He's 91 years old.
I
and
thought
he's
he
sick.
passed.
No, he's alive.
I know his
91
son,
years old.
Johnny.
Yeah, but he's in prison. 91. Wait, how long you want to keep these guys in there?
Yeah, they're setting an example, unfortunately.
You set an example, but the guy's running rampant in the street.
He's a
doing
sweetheart.
Shit, it's a shame. So I hope they see the compassion. Give him whatever he's got left. Been there a long time. So I wanted to say that because I didn't believe he was I didn't know he was alive.
Wow, 91.
At
Wow,
91,
where these
God
years
bless,
go?
you know what I mean? But,
I met him years ago with Chicky.
Yeah, so, funny when I was, back then in the 80s, when we were hanging out, let's be honest, it was a lot easier living on the streets. I mean, what I mean easier is you could do more without getting in trouble. Even the minor shit, bookmaking, numbers, it was nonsense. But I swear to God, in Ozone Park, there might have been a bookie or a number taker every 10 feet.
That's for sure.
Every 10 feet. If you walked outside the burger and made a left, there was bookies down a block in a bar. Every bar had their own bookie or number guy. There was number guys walking in the street, roaming the street, stop by, want a number. It was kind of hysterical. And then all of a sudden, like anything else, it stops because, but you had to see it to believe it, right?
How much were they paying the runners?
What?
How much were they paying the runners?
Well, they get up. These guys would turn in. They would get 25, 50% of a turn in. But remember, they were paying 501. Some guys were paying 601 back then to get the business. Remember, the odds are 1,001. But so the funny thing is, so one guy hits a number. So the number guy, usually you tip the number guy, and they somehow the number runners would have this standard that you got to tip them 10%.
Oh yeah.
So if you win 500, give them 50. If you win 5,000, you give them 500, which is a lot of money for a tip. But 10% of a tip. So sometimes guys would bet for years, Kevin. You don't hit a number for years, sometimes 2 or 3 years. Guy don't give you a free number
No,
like
they
a
don't give a
coupon.
free number.
He don't give you a coupon that says, oh, you know what, you've been losing, next number's on me. I mean, some guys might have did it, I didn't see it, but if you won, it was a smart move by the numbers. They made like 10% tip. And there was some guys, they didn't care, they wouldn't tip.
They wouldn't give nothing.
Tip. You're getting 10% on the hit, or a fee from the bank. You don't need a tip from me. But that was some of the little tricks that went on, like with bookies. A lot of guys start off on a quarter sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And a quarter sheet, if you guys don't know, the quarter sheet, because now they have legal gambling now, which is probably the most fanatical gambling I've ever seen in life. Back then, you bet parlays, round robins, if and reverses they call them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? 3-team. You had teasers. You didn't have these, prop bets. Guys gonna get a base hit 9 times. There was none of that prop bets. A lot of confusing. But so you want a quarter sheet, and a lot of guys earned a lot of money. If you got lucky, if you had a good year, you had 10, 15 customers, and you turned it in. You can make yourself a nice buck.
I was making good. That's why I asked you how much to give the runners. We used to give in Brooklyn 30%.
But that, yeah, was.
But we had a lot of good guys. You know that.
Yeah, but when I was on a quarter sheet, you start on a quarter sheet.
Yeah.
But if your business got really big, you got on a half sheet.
Right.
And it rises up. But you think about it. So if say you're doing 5,000 in action a week, and you have, you could get killed. So what happens is you get killed financially, you go in the red. And if you're in the red, you don't get paid until you're out of the red.
Out of the red.
So how many guys were in the red for months?
Forget it.
And they're taking action, they're booking it, collecting the money, and they're not making a nickel. But if you had a few runs of a couple of months that you were in the black, and you had 10, 15 customers, and they were good bettors, even $100 a piece, you can make yourself back that $700, $800.
You can make it back.
You can make it back, but think about it, 1981, making $1,000 a week cash for doing none.
We
You
were
know what I
doing
mean?
good.
That's a lot. You're doing good, but that's how it was back then. So now you have all these website, gambling.
yeah.
It's a totally different.
Whole
ball
different
game.
deal.
It actually took the earning power out of being a bookie or even a runner, what they call runners. There'll be hundreds of runners, right, Kevin? Every neighborhood, every crew
Everybody
had
had a runner.
It was funny because you'd have even runners meeting up with each other. I got a guy, he said, you want some of his action? They piece off action to guys. It was really, it's that plane again. Every time we open a club, a plane comes by. They're looking for John or somebody, but they're not here.
Yes, it's cut.
But it was, so if you guys will gamble, like with horses, a guy contacted me, a comment, liked the show, talking about trotters. So there was a guy in the trotter, his name was Pizza Joe, they called him. He was from City Line. I think his name was Pizza Joe. He was old then when I was in my 20s. And he used to hang out, they called him, he was a tout. Now the tout used to walk around with a sheet, and he had all them pick sheets. There was the orange one, there was the lost sheet, the sheet. But he had the program in front of him, and he would go, so in every trotter race, there was 8 horses at Yonkers or Roosevelt, 1 to 8. And he would tip 8 different people, 8 different horses. Now this is, I think, imagine this idea. So if you got a tip, listen, the trainer talked to me, he loves his 7 horse. He says, go bet him. He says, if he wins, I'll throw you a tip. So imagine, Kevin,
Oh man,
if
forget
he
it.
couldn't lose, if he had the right route in the track, so he went from first floor, second floor, third floor, clubhouse, and if you had the right route, you would give out, you're almost guaranteed to get a tip every race. It was some racket, but those were the touts that I ran into in the trotters, because let's face it, the trotters back then, if there was any races that were more fixed back then,
They were fixed, my guy. Forget about
I
it.
used to watch, guys watch the trotters, and you're betting the trotter,
Yeah.
Kevin. Obviously, you see the driver like this.
I told you the story.
Yeah.
With Andy's horse. The 3 of us went, me, John, and Willie. And that horse took off, right? And was out of there. That driver, he was driving that thing. I said, wow, look at this. He stopped to give mouth-to-mouth to that other horse. I said, matter of fact, I called Andy and I told him, listen, I just spoke about that. He said, remember that?
Oh, yeah. you know, going to the track with John or Gene was fun. You know, they had their, like, John was reckless.
Oh.
Gene was in control when he bet. He bet 2 bets or 1 bet, and that was it. He was gone.
Yeah, I never knew Jeannie gambled.
But he bet 1 race, usually the last 2 races, followed the, and real control. I like this, bet this to win, bet this double, out the door.
Nice.
John would bet
Everything.
in all different directions. and you gotta understand something. It was kind of chaotic too. You know, hey Mark, go run to OTB or do me a favor, call up, spread this horse around, go to track. I want you to bet 4,000 on this horse, but don't bet him right away. Bet 500 every couple of minutes so the odds don't go down. And back then, there was so much action in a racetrack. Not like it is now. You know, a lot of people there. So it took a lot of money to make the horse odds drop down.
Well, you know, between him and Willie Boy, forget about it, because the both of them used to be on the phone. What are you gonna bet? What are you gonna bet?
You remember, Willie Boy used to go to track, and he used to have the old bet slips, and they have 20, 30, 40 bets, 50 bets. Because let's be honest, you know, Willie Boy wasn't a rocket scientist.
No.
So he couldn't remember the horse he picked, so he would write
it down.
Like John would. John would just go up to the program, he'd go to the window and stay there for 20 minutes. Willie would write all down, give me $100, 234, $100, 239, and he'd go down this list, and the papers would fold up and he'd put in his pocket. And then the race would go off, and the race would end, and I'd be there, or somebody else would be there, go, okay, what came out? You know, because somebody watched the wire, he couldn't see what came out. He says, come on, you, and he like this. Like,
oh yeah,
forget it. Like this. Come on, you dirty tree-legged pig. Come on, you know, where, you know, the rooting part. Each guy, like Mickey Boy.
Oh, yeah, Mickey was.
Not a guy like that. You never met guys like, I've got to talk about
They enjoyed horses.
Horses now has changed. They're not the same. You can't go to a racetrack. There's nobody there. You see that the crowds are empty. But back then, you just go to Aqueduct, you run into 40 guys. Vinny Asaro.
Without him.
Vinny Asaro was at the track almost every day.
Ram too.
Ram was there, but Vinny Asaro was another one of that era. They love to gamble, especially horses more than anything. But
it's true.
how many guys you were around when you were growing up in Brooklyn?
Get it.
So
many.
Guys, tell me, you got any stories about like guys that were around the Gork that were, you know, that were, like, did the Gork gamble?
No, he didn't believe in it. He didn't believe in it. He
That's
did other ways. He was into Shylocking. Listen, you want to put your money? Give me that, and that's it. But you know, we had a few guys around that bet, not big bettors like guys over there by the Bergen. Forget it.
But there was guys. I mean, you know, I'm at the club. Pete comes. My brother just called around the corner. He says, Ernie Boy's coming here. He says to meet him. He's with a friend of his. I got what he wasn't with George Corey. He was somebody else from Pennsylvania, like a cousin or something. He says, when you see him, I gotta leave. My brother's gonna be a couple hours late. He said, my brother says, tell him go to the track for a couple of races and come back. He said, so Ernie Boy pulls up. Beautiful car. Ernie was a good looking man, you know what I mean? Hey, Marco, how you doing? Hey, Ernie, how you doing? He's sitting, he goes, where's John? He says, hey, he's gonna be a little late. He's jammed up with something for a couple, he says, it's gonna be about an hour and a half, 2 hours. He goes, so without even saying it, you know, Johnny says, wait for him, it's important you see him. And Ernie Boy goes, sure, come on, let's go to fucking Aqueduct. Jump in the car and go to the track. And this is a guy with a lot of money. You know, he had a lot of paper, a lot of money. And if he won, we'll go to track, come on, get the programs. And he fold up, here's 300.
He take care of everybody.
Yeah, here's 300, go bet. Ernie, 400, a lot of money. This is 1980.
In them days.
Oh, yeah, so, come on, we win, we have a party. And talk about fun guys. And you know what? And I think it had something to do with John and all them guys like Gene. Everybody that hung around there, they all treated nicely. They didn't shove you off. There was associates, there was guys, even little John, the guy who used to sweep, hey Johnny, how you? But it was just a personal thing. You know, it was really kind of, hanging out there was easy.
Well, you know what it is, everybody got along. Everybody, even if you were broke, and you were there, here, put this in your, bet on this horse.
Yeah.
That's how they walk.
It was, and you know, like I said, how many guys he gave jobs to?
Oh,
Joey gave me a job. He says, Mark, take a job because you're not doing nothing in the morning. You're working at night over here. So, and he would mix it up. But there was guys, the bus company, Green Line Bus. How many guys went to work Green Line Bus? How many
Yeah.
guys went in construction?
I'll tell you a funny story with Green Line Bus, right? He would come by the club,
Yeah.
right? Donnie.
Yeah.
You remember Donnie McCabe?
Yeah.
Turned around, my daughter was going to Richmond Hill High School. And I said to her, listen, and she lived in Maspet with my ex-wife. Turns out, she's on the bus. I said, listen, tell him I said he had to bring you home. She says, Dad, that's a different, I got to get a transfer on Metropolitan Avenue. That's tough. She gets on the bus. She says, listen, my father said, you got to take me home. Where you live? Maspet. I can't do that. He said, yeah, when you know who my father is, you're gonna. So she puts her hair back and says, look at my face. I look just like my father. Turns around, and now he's looking in the mirror. He gets off the bus, smokes a cigarette, comes back on, right? Who's your father? Tells him, Kevin. Oh my God. He did it for 3 years.
Wow.
He turns around, I said to him, I says, and John says to me, you know, you're gonna get the guy fired. The guy's he can't go up that route, you know.
Yeah.
And he did. That was the Green Line bus. But he got him a job there.
Oh yeah, but that's what,
And the operating engineers. A lot of us went to operating engineers too.
you know. But the funny thing is, you know, so when we talk about the past of the Bergen here, there was a lot. Guys were eating the food or gambling, and the streets. Little John swept the streets.
Oh, yeah, he
no
cleaned it
garbage
every
around.
day.
You couldn't, cigarette butts not on the sidewalk, or put them out in the curb, or you had that big ashtray, you know.
Always
you,
clean.
You guys, hear stories about it. It wasn't this sinister secret, close the doors, what goes on in there. It was pretty much a meeting place for guys, and a lot of guys who knew each other for 30, 40, 30 years. These guys were in their 40s, even just as were kids. Like the guys from Fulton Rockaway.
That's where they came from.
Came from Fulton Rockaway. Either they went hang out with John, or like Skinny Dom and Nunzi, they hung out by Andy and Tony Lee. They're all in that area there. So, it was they had the feast. Remember that big feast?
How could you forget?
Oh, well. So, that feast went 6 blocks, 7 blocks.
Well, it went from
97th Street
97th Street to
105th.
105th.
So it's 8 blocks. So here's the best thing. So, and it actually turned into Gate of Heaven's, the school lot where they had
They're back there.
the bazaar, and they had the
But
downstairs.
that in years ago, because Father Bob was there,
Yeah.
I was part of that. Turned around, Father Bob wanted to put the feast on the avenue because they only had 104th Street and 105th Street.
That's it.
And between 101st Avenue and 103rd, that was it. Then we went on the avenue.
But, question, the girls all over that place used
Oh,
to come by the club and try to hang out in the club, and we didn't want
Never
them-
happened. Never happened.
Oh, can we go inside? No.
Nope.
They had to close the door, keep the door closed, and it's just thousands in the street. There's another point. Look at that. But thousands in the street. Oh, come by, see. And no, they had Richie's out front social club on the corner. He had put 30, 40 tables out. You know what I mean? So you could hang out there, they had waitress service. But, the possibilities of that, guys making money, let's be honest. You can make money with them. None of them stands got shaken down. They got a fee to charge a C-130. That's a C-130.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Just laying right there.
Yeah. So he goes, that was a C-130, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he goes, another story you guys don't know about, right? Let's be honest. I'm going to talk about Tony Lee for a minute. Tony Lee was close to John, too.
He was a
This guy and his
sweetheart.
partner. Tony was a gentleman.
Good man.
Good man. A gentleman, not only a gentleman, but smart, wicked smart. But Tony took everything, as tough as he was wickedly smart, where Andy was, if I had to compare the two of them, it was almost like Johnny and Angelo. Johnny was a little more controlled. Angelo was a bulldog. So Andy was more of a fierce bulldog too. You know what I mean? Different guys between him and Angelo. But if you get I'm trying to give you a comparison. So, but the funny thing is with Tony is, I would go in Tony's club, and he would welcome you with open arms. You hang out. What are you doing? And hanging out when he got sick of cancer.
That was a shame.
It was terrible to watch him waste away.
Yes.
But you know what? He tried to enjoy himself. He was hanging out. He had the club. He had Mike's bar. They would cook. Mark, come here for lunch. I'm making him a nest. You know what I mean? What are you going to the track? Bet some horses. But that for some reason, he kept his cool about him, and you had to admire him because he was suffering. He was in a lot of pain for years. So I just want to, I talk about his brother, Mikey Gal, who was like a cartoon character. The contrast between Mikey and Tony, Johnny,
so different.
And how was Johnny with them both?
Oh yeah.
Johnny adored Tony, and he was like
Both of them.
Yeah, we grab his nose like in the court thing.
Yeah.
He says, Tony says, he said, how'd you get a brother like that? You sure he's not adopted? You sure he's not? And Mikey be sitting here, John, I'm standing right here.
Well, I told you how I met Tony.
Yeah.
Tony, because Tony Gork had the Jaspers on Avenue U in 21st Street, East 21st. Right down the block was a seashell.
Yeah.
And who was in there? Tony Lee all the time. Then he said, come on Coney Island Avenue, off of Avenue U, was the Puppet Lounge.
Okay.
And that was his place. And he was just a sweetheart all the time. But I never knew at them days, I never knew that Mikey Gal was his brother because they're different people.
Guys, if you don't know him, for the guys out there do know Mikey Gal
Yeah.
and Tony, Mikey Gal, like Johnny just said to him, hey Tony, you sure your parents didn't adopt this guy? They find him on a porch, not a porch step, maybe they found him in a park, in a basket. He says, first you don't look alike, and second of all, you're not even close to being, but Mikey was a good guy. I'm not talking bad about him. He was a good guy. I'm just saying, but the contrast in guys. Listen. Let's be honest. You saw Johnny and Angelo walking down the street.
Yeah.
Complete opposites.
Yep.
Johnny's-
Well, it is. In them days, you got to remember, you play good guy and bad guy.
Oh, yeah,
There's a good guy and a bad guy.
Well, they must have learned that from getting grilled by the cops all the years growing up. But Johnny would walk, and I'll be honest. Listen, and I think Armando Santi's a great actor. I didn't like the movie because he embellished John. John didn't walk waving
like
back
that.
and forth. John walked with a canter straight. And John didn't talk like a machine gun. But I'm not diminishing Armando Santi. He's a great actor. And he did the best job. I mean, go talk about the other ones. But to me, if you spent, like me, I was around the guy every day, I'm saying, not really. Did a good job, but not really.
No.
John didn't walk. Come on, Hickey. He didn't walk like
not
that.
like that.
Angelo walked like that. Angelo, Quack walked like that. But I'm trying to give you guys a visual of this, right? Listen, Tony Gork was partners with Sonny Francis, wasn't he?
Yeah, like this.
Are they two different guys?
That 100%. 100%. They had their ways too.
Yeah, but they had their ways. But now Tony Gork always was well dressed. I saw.
He looked like a movie star.
Okay,
And
Sonny,
Sonny,
gangster.
yeah.
He looked like a gangster.
Sonny was funny though. You ever go out with Sonny? Sonny was a great man, right? I loved Sonny. Turns around, he had about 16, 17 guys. And Patty was part of them. Patty used to play racquetball with him.
Yeah.
And Patty was good. And he used to say, Sonny used to say, hey, Gumba, you like that shot? Yeah, and Patty gave it to him, right?
Yeah.
But he turned around when Ubaldo's in Farmingdale.
Oh, I was there with you, yeah.
And Ubaldo's, and turned around, Sonny, some guy there, hey, Gumba, thanks for the meal. And get up and walk out, right? Guy went, I ain't got no money. Well, we all gave the guy the money, but Sonny was a good guy though, but a stand-up guy. Oh. The guy that, I remember back. I'm going way back now. New York Times interviewed him, and it said to him, Mr. Franchese, I understand that you're with organized crime. Organized crime. Yeah. He says, I'm in jail all these years. Don't you think it's disorganized?
Yeah, exactly.
But that was Sonny. Yeah.
Yeah, but these, so I told you when I met him at his house that time, and he said to me, my last name, Caputo. He goes, thinking. He goes, I got to look it up. He said, yeah. I said, so the guy's telling me he's a historian on Italian last names. And he goes, what's your mother's name? Graziano. Oh, good name in Italy. Your family's from Avellino, right? I says, yeah. They own a crew, and there's a clan in Avellino, Graziano. It's very powerful. I said, clan? He says, yeah. They control all the chestnuts, the castagna, and the hazelnuts coming out of the town, shipping overseas. He says, good. I like you. He says, you got good blood. He says, but that's what, Sonny was very technical. Where Johnny was different. Johnny was like Sonny a hoodlum's hoodlum, but Johnny was
Both of them were very smart.
Yeah, both of us, but Johnny would judge you by talking to you. He'd feel you
Oh, yeah,
out, get your responses. Sonny was want to know where your blood was, you know. It was kind of trying, but he says, you hang around by the burger. Tommy told me if you're one of Johnny Gotti's guys. He goes, John's a good man, real hoodlum, he says. Real hoodlum, he said.
You know, another person was a good person in them days. You know, he passed away, you know. And he called the shot, too, years ago. Tootie. Tootie. Tootie was he's another guy that helped a lot of people go to work.
Yeah.
And I remember going down there, he had his club on Jackson in Williamsburg there. He says, come back here next month and see my club. It's gonna be an apartment. He says, it's over, pal. It's over. Yeah. You know, how he predicted that years ago.
That's why I left the door open a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see John's plaque up there that we remade. I wanted that plaque, it's important. But you imagine every day,
how many people came
walking
to him?
in and out, guys hanging out. The coffee machine, I'm telling you, nobody had espresso but on Wednesday. It was never on.
Oh yeah, Wednesday.
They never turned it on, only on Wednesday nights for everybody. If everybody wanted espresso, they walk across the street, out the door, around the corner of Richie's Club and get an espresso. That was you find that a little weird. That beautiful, you know, Pavoni machine.
Yeah,
with
that
the
was
three
nice.
pumps, and it was
But only on Wednesday.
Wednesday, or if there was a party or event, you know what I mean, a barbecue. And the barbecues, 50-gallon drums outside, cut in half, right? Oh, please. And there was guys around there, like, I gotta talk about guys. Everybody talks about, I saw on YouTube or guys, little videos that want to explain Tony Roach. You can't explain Tony Roach unless you spend time with him. They can tell you all the stories about this. They call him Roach because the way he looked, the way he acted. Tony Roach was a
tough guy.
A real tough guy. You know, when guys talk about tough guys in a Bergen, you figure there's at least 30 or 40 we can count off real easy.
And very quiet.
You know, guys didn't walk around boasting. You know, here's what, and I heard it the best from a lot of guys. You know, the tougher you are, you walk softly, carry a big stick. But I don't know who it was, an old timer. I remember when Johnny's first case, I went with Pete and Bobby Rell down to the Ravenite. Because Johnny says he wanted us to go to Raven. They were bringing me to the Ravenite, spend an hour or two, show presidents, talk about the case, and leave. There was a guy in there, I forgot his name. A real Italian, you know, old-fashioned Italian name from Italy. And they said he was a white guy from Naples, you know, from Sicily, whatever. And he used to say, and he's talking to me, now I understand Italian, and I talk it Napolitan dialect, and he's telling me, you never judge, he says, you want to learn about a man, not what he says, only by what he does and how he acts.
His actions.
So many guys talk about, I was this, I did this, you know what I mean? And the real guys that we knew, they didn't talk about themselves.
Nope.
You saw who they were by how they act and what they did. You know what I mean? Not by boasting about themselves or who they were. And that's how we judge people. You can sit there, guys talk all day long. You know, listen, you know, I knock guys out. Listen to me. I don't care who you are, you know that. How many fights you in your life? How many times you get your head handed to you? Shit happens. You're gonna meet somebody tougher than you all the time.
Yeah, somebody's always tougher.
Johnny said, don't worry about it. You walk the street long enough, you're gonna meet a bunch of guys tougher than you. He says, everybody caught a beating, even me. Everybody caught a beating in life. If you never caught a beating, you never win a fight. Right?
Right.
But these are like...
You know who's a tough person?
Oh.
And from this day, I think about him a lot, right? Tommy LaRufa, the old man.
You said
he was a tough old man, boy. Nobody ever knew that.
And the funny thing is, too, you could talk to him, and he never boasted about himself.
100 years.
But if you saw him get mad...
Oh, forget it.
His eyes used to you know, remember, he was close with Neil, so, you know, them guys were all
he
the
was
same.
a partner.
But they were all the same.
I got him out of East New York, and I said, he used to carry a knife. And I says, what is that for? I'll send them to Sandusky. That was his word. I'll send them to Sandusky. But I'll tell you another thing. He was a great cook.
Oh, yeah?
Make marinara sauce? Oh, my God.
But Johnny said, Pay this guy to Sandusky. Get him out of here.
Yeah.
Sandusky, and me as a kid.
You didn't even know what it was.
Sandusky I knew was in Ohio. It was a city in Ohio. Sandusky was slang for get rid of him. You know what I mean?
Tommy was a good man, too. Johnny loved
The funny
Tommy.
thing, guys were coming in and out of here all day long. And then 4 o'clock, doors locked, gone. It wasn't like the club ran 24 hours. You know, that was you've been to a lot of clubs in your life, social clubs. They were open mostly all
the
day.
time, all night.
They had a thing about shutting this down, and I think, you know, listen, and it didn't avoid the bugs because we found the bugs in the phone booth and in the kitchen, old-fashioned bugs, but that was it. But I never found, it was hard to get in here because.
What about the night we were going down 101st Avenue and the lights were
flashlight.
on? And John
The
says,
flashlight.
why didn't you go in there?
They would have shot us dead. They were
going to kill us.
The agents would have definitely picked you off.
100%.
But you know, the era. I don't care what anybody says. You can talk all years you want. The '80s, powerful.
Got good times then.
You know, guys say, well, you know, this era they ruined the mob. You know what ruined the mob? Technology. You know what ruined the mob? RICO. You know what moved the mob is the federal government getting smarter on how to go after these guys.
Cameras.
Yeah, because
Big Brother.
you know, yeah, all that stuff. You know, whatever it is, it was part of the life. It's part of the fabric of this country. And I'm not saying, listen, like I said, you know, that was the past. You know, but I think the stories you should hear, these inside stories about how many guys I saw in the street. You saw it sometimes on a news feed with John coming out, give him $50. Hey, John, this went on all day long. You go with guys, say, give them $20.
Yeah.
$20 so some people could feed them for the week.
Yep.
Like I got my first.
I know guys that had $5 in their pocket and would give somebody the $5 and be broke in the end.
Because
they didn't care. They didn't know how it was. That's right.
And they had the capability to earn.
That's right.
You know, I tell my guys who watch us, we're down to earth guys. I mean, listen, we don't pull no punches either. We know who we are, right, Kevin? You know what I mean? You know, and we don't have to share that with anybody. And the guys who know us know who we are. I just think I keep on telling you, these stories should be told because I want you to see that side. You're gonna see it in here. I got 1, 2, 3. I got 6 actors so far. You know, it's taking more time. I tell you guys. You know, you guys want to join and subscribe. You know, once I get enough, the hats will go out. There's a minimum, and I gotta get like 20 guys to come in so I get the hats out. You guys want to subscribe? You want to be on the club? The plaque will be up next week. So if you see your names, you know who you are. If you don't see your names, you want to be on that plaque. So every video you do, the camera's going to scan that plaque.
I apologize. I forgot to bring cigars. Jackrabbits.
We like cigars. I know you guys like cigars. We're going to have cigars. We'll save that for later.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm going to have some. What I'm going to do is we're going to film one day from a restaurant, and I'm going to cook for you because you know I like to cook. I'm going to cook 2 of John's favorite dishes, and I promise you, they're not Cracker Barrel. I mean, the first time I went to Cracker
I don't even know where that came from.
Well, you know, I think when guys go to visit guys in prison or go on the lam, like he went on the lam to Pennsylvania, he was with Roach that time, they might have went to eat at Cracker Barrel, you know what I mean, the first time. And might say, wow, it was an interesting place, first time there. Would he eat there every day? No. Would he eat out the Donna's or Denoy or Tymina's or he would eat there?
Well, like that time on my boat, John wanted to go to Roller Roaster. Roller Roaster.
Once,
that's very rare. You know why? Because Peter was young then.
But, you know, how many trips to White Castles?
No, forget it. Forget it.
You know, but that was, they grew up with that. You know, you guys in the neighborhood, listen, if you go down 101st Avenue down to Woodhaven, right, you had no restaurants. You had a couple pizzerias, you had, remember you had Kelly's Bar. Remember Kelly's Bar? You had that Sandro had his club over there. You know, that was Vinny. You know Vinny?
Yeah.
Vigen's club over there with Sandro.
Vigen's.
Yeah, so that was there, but you had no restaurants. If you went to the right, you had Quartuccios. You had a couple pizzerias on 104th Street. You had a pork store, a pasta store.
Then you had gelatas.
You had gelatas. Remember the pasta store with they used to sell the pasta? But you'd have another restaurant.
No.
You had to go all the way to Russo's on Lefferts Boulevard.
Yep.
But the restaurants on Cross Bay, Woodhaven, there was a ton of them.
There's a lot of them.
We used to go to Alta Donna's. Joe Alta Donna
Alta Donna's was his main one.
was his main one. He actually had an upstairs where Johnny used to eat privately because after he became who he did, as popular as he did, he would go to a restaurant on a Saturday night with his wife or whateve, and have dinner. But there'd be 10 tables there, people walking, want to get his autograph, buy him a drink. After a while, he went upstairs. Joe had the private area, and there was, and he eat up there with Vicky. Even that time, I never forget it. There was 5 of us, young guys. His son-in-law, his son, Angel's son John, me, and I forgot who else was there at a table. I think I know who was there, but I don't want to say it till I make sure. And he's telling, listen, you guys are the young guys. You've all got to stick together because you're only as powerful as a group, he says. You all look out for each other. And the funny thing is, John grew up like that. Angelo, his brothers, all them guys. Them guys just didn't carry, nobody carried that forward. I don't care if you were in the streets or you opened up a business together, 5 guys. Listen, carry that through because you're only as good as the people around you. And he preached that to us, and I'm telling you, it didn't penetrate. Some guys didn't care. A lot of selfish young guys, they didn't come from the same cloth them guys did in the 40s and 50s. But not everybody was like that. But let's be honest. Some of his philosophy, while crooked and you don't have to pay attention to, but some of it was good too.
One thing he was good with: never tell him how much money you got in your pocket.
Yeah, that's right. No,
you could be and dress sharp.
Yeah,
and that's what he used to say.
I remember, like Angelo was more bombastic. Jeannie was more go home. Do the right thing. He was very quiet. And these are all contrasts, but in all their own way, it wasn't like they didn't tell you to do anything you didn't want to do. Right. It was in a sense that go out and earn money, but let's do it the right way. I don't want the kid to get in trouble. I don't want that guy to get in trouble. It's the truth.
Yeah, trying to show you the right way to go.
So that's why I respect them. And for the guys who are alive, I wish they enjoy their families, their grandchildren. Live a long, healthy life. A lot of guys, we can't. There's nothing. Guys want to try to, but this is our own thing. I had this idea for years, and I knew Kevin for so many years. I mean, how many guys will know you 4 years, 10 years? They don't know you. They haven't seen you in stages. We all have stages in our life, right? You know what I mean? You go through stages. Kevin didn't hang around my friends constantly, but all them guys intermingled.
Everybody knew everybody.
Yeah, if I tell you in a Bergen, you had every neighborhood. I'll just say neighborhood. That's what I'm gonna use, right? Every neighborhood guys would come by and visit, see John, and see him. And it was almost like a lot of them, like guys who grew up in East New York, guys who grew up in Brownsville or Harlem or the South or the Bronx. So they all, even if you'd have 10 guys were friends,
everybody mingled together.
And every 10 guys went to hung out with different people when they got older, but they still were.
I'm gonna tell you, where do we always meet? Funerals and weddings.
Well, it's like family too, right? I mean, isn't it? You meet funerals and weddings, right? And if it was Christmas, sometimes we gotta get together, but otherwise, it's like your family. You see most of your family, funerals and weddings. It's not, listen, it must be an Italian thing. You think it's an Italian thing, like half Italian? Listen, you're half Italian, half Irish. It could be Irish and Italian. But it's a funny thing that is prevalent. Funerals and weddings, you see guys from everywhere. And your family, my cousins, sometimes I don't see them at a funeral or wedding. So, a lot of comparisons in the Italian life. But one thing that we can tell you about is, you guys want to talk about food and gambling. If anything, more than anything we ever seen, was food and gambling. Food and gambling. For guys who grew up poor, I know how you grew up. I grew up, my father passed when I was 8. We had nothing. So why would you just gamble if you had nothing? You'd think we'd save buckets full of money. Some guys did. Some guys were smart.
Some guys invested.
Yeah, they got richer. Other guys were like,
same old thing.
It's like it's if you got a guy taking you to the same pizzeria and you're used to eating the same food, you're always gonna go to a pizzeria. So I didn't bet a horse till I was 19, 18. I bet horses for him. I never stopped betting, you know.
Yeah, that's what happens.
I stopped the last 5 or 6 years. I bet like the Kentucky Derby or the Breeders' Cup if I pick a horse, but I used to go to track twice a week, once a week. Especially, I definitely used to go on Sundays. Sunday was my day because I used to go in the morning, meet some guys there, and they used to run into Vinny, used to run into everybody there. But I used to get a bagel, racing form early in the morning, eat a bagel, have my coffee, read the racing form. I used to relax. It was nice. It was like my Sunday adventure. And then by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I was out of there. But
You know, that's what happens. He's like the guy Johnny V. He came out of the hospital. I came out of the hospital. Somebody invited us down to Naples, right? Naples, Florida. That was the worst trip I ever took. I'll tell you why. All I did was eat, go to the dog track, and go to the racetrack, go to the casino, back home, go to sleep. I said, what are we doing?
yeah, it's too much.
But that's what happens, you know.
Even now, like when I used to go when I had a business, right? I was in a chemical business, selling auto chemicals to the.
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. So they used to have a convention once a year in Vegas. Now, I was in Vegas in 2006, in the early 2000s, but it was a convention, all environmental waste guys, sanitation guys, all from New York, all guys I knew, Italian guys. They go out there. So I go out to Vegas. I said, well, I got to get a room. So I end up staying the first time. It was the old Las Vegas Hilton. Now it's called the Westgate. Because I stayed there because I had product I was bringing to some of the waste companies, and the Westgate's connected to the Las Vegas Convention Center. So all I do is walk instead of taking a tram or cab. So I'm staying in the Westgate. Now I was there 4 days, and I'm in a casino. Plus the Westgate was all Las Vegas Hilton, and one of the biggest beautiful bookmaking area, giant screens, the seats, a restaurant behind you. I'm telling you, by the first day and a half, I never went to the casino again. I was bored. I went to take a walk, I went down the strip, we went to eat here, went to have drinks, went to see a show. And like I said, my friends in the Westgate that I haven't seen a casino. But how long you want to gamble? I gambled all day with you. It's enough. I had enough. I'm bored.
Exactly.
I'm not 24 anymore. I'm in my 50s. It's enough, man. You know, I want to go do other things, you know, but there's guys like that, right?
Forget about it. That's all they do.
There's a guy, you drop him off at a casino, you come back next week, pick him up, he's still in the same seat. Ashtray filled with cigarettes, losing his...
The guy I was with, he had to call his daughter, send me some more money.
Really?
I said, you crazy?
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know,
that happened to me once on my honeymoon in Paradise Island. I'm gonna tell you a true story. So I was getting married, 1990. So I was getting married to Russo's. So I got to book a honeymoon, and you know I got responsible paying for this honeymoon. So I'm sitting there, and I hate to mention his name, but I got to because he was around a lot, Joe Messina. And he wasn't a boss then; he was just captain. But he come around to see John a lot. And I'll put into context again, John had a lot of influence on him, right? So, you get married? Good. Where you going on your honeymoon? I don't know. My wife always wanted to go to the Caribbean. You know, I want to take a Caribbean. I just don't know where to go. I got to find a, you know, so I got an idea. If you ever been to Paradise Island? No, where's that? It's in the Bahamas. I says, there's a casino down there called Resorts International on Paradise Island. You mean like Resorts in Atlantic City? He says, yeah, Resorts in Paradise Island. Because we got a guy in there working there, he's a legend. I says, really? He says, yeah, he's old. He was in Vegas after Bugsy Siegel. wait. After Bugsy Siegel got killed, and they came in to clean up, to clean up the casinos. He took over. He was one of the guys in the Flamingo in the early 50s.
Flamingo.
In the early 50s. So, a legend. So, listen, I had my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law called a guy, set you up with him. Come by the house tomorrow. I'll let you know what happened. Next day, afternoon, I go by his house. 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I know he's home. I ring the place. Come in. He says, you're all set. What do you mean all set? My brother-in-law called Bernie. You're all set. When you get there, just ask for Bernie Resnick. Now I'm going to say his name, Bernie Resnick. I said, yeah. He says, I told him you're coming down. Meet him and take care of everything. What do you mean? He says, just book the hotel and flight. You don't have to pay for drinks, food, show, whatever you want. Just Says, you gamble? I says, well, I do gamble, but it's my honeymoon. I'm going to be my wife. I'm not taking much to gamble with. He says, you're going to be there a week. How much money are you taking to gamble? I said, I got like 3,000 a gamble. I'm not going to allow it because I got to pay for everything. I had 7,000 with me. I wanted to pay for drinks, travel around. You're there for a week. It's a long
Enjoy
time.
yourself.
So I want to enjoy myself. He says, all right. So listen. He says, save that 3,000. He goes to his pocket. He pulls out 3,000. Add 2,000. Bet with 5. Impress them. He says they want it because everybody, all of us go down there. Everybody, your guys, my guys. He says, we don't want to embarrass Bernie. Thanks, Joe. That's my gift. That's my wedding gift for you. Thank you. So he got me the trip. So now I fly in to Florida. You take Paradise Island. You fly into the Bahamas. The bus picks you up, the little train, trolley, whatever, and it drives you over the bridge into Paradise Island. I get to this it's beautiful hotel, palm trees. You walk in, it's a giant bar, people, music playing. You see the casino on the left. They meet you with a drink, nice. And we got our luggage. We got a beautiful room overlooking the beach and the pool. I'll tell you so it gives us a beautiful room. So I give him my bank card and everything. So now I go in a room. I get the phone rings. Hello, Mark. It's Bernie. Meet me in the lobby. I says, you want me? He says, just yourself. Leave it. All right. He says, I come downstairs and this little guy, Bernie Resnick, dressed in a suit and tie. How you doing, pal? It's nice to meet you. Joey wants me to take care of you. If Joey sent you, says, you must be a good guy. He says, so he goes, first come with me in my office. Takes me up in the office, Kevin. Sit down at his desk. He goes, first I got to look. Look where? He takes out this binder. The black book.
Yeah.
I never seen it. He goes, I want to see if you're in there. I says, trust me, Bernie, I'm not in that book. He says, I just want to make sure. I don't want to get jammed up. He says, I'm not in it. You're not in it. I trust you. He says, look who's in it. Look all your friends. They're all in it. He says, I said, and you see their names and everything and photograph. I'm looking. Yeah. He says, oh, you're not in it. Cool. Come on, let's go. He says, okay, listen. He says, whatever you do, here's my card. I'll sign that back. Wherever you go in this casino, the restaurants on the beach, you give them my card. Don't pay for nothing. You want to go see the show? I got you 2 front row tickets, whatever you need. If you gamble, gamble. Give them some action. He says, if you give enough action, I'll comp you the room. I said, they ain't giving me enough action to comp the room, but it's okay, you know what I mean? So he takes me and my wife out to dinner, the Boathouse, all top-notch restaurants. What a gentleman, a real nice guy. So now, if I'm a little wrong, but I'm going to tell the story like I see it, he's telling me, he says, yeah, he just escorted Danny Marino out of here. I said, what do you mean? He says, yeah. He says, if he came down here, he used to lose. He got creamed. He's losing money. The commission, they escort him out of the casino. And I see Danny, he goes, they don't want me to lose money. They don't want my money no more. All I do is lose when I come down here. See you later. And they escort him out. I says, really? He says, yeah. He says, it just happened out of the blue. He says, they're taking all my customers away, he says. But I says, wow. He says, so you got, he says, that's why you got to be careful down here. But a gentleman, I know there's no way he could be alive. That's 35 years ago. He used to fly in, Merv Griffin. Merv Griffin got him to take over the casino for him. He came out of retirement. That's how respected he was. So, but that story with Bernie was true. There's a little story about the power of the life back then, the friends they had. You know that.
Well, in Vegas, a lot of people, when you come there, you don't have it OC on your record. You got to check in. If you don't check in, they will come and get you. Because they know you from the airplane. When you come in and land, people don't know that.
Well, right now the casinos have facial recognition.
I heard that.
Everybody walks in the casino, the camera picks up and computer puts IDs on.
You don't belong there, they know it.
Back then, they had a guy standing against the wall. They didn't know who you are.
They didn't know who you are.
Technology is everything. But
that's it.
I wanted to tell you guys that story. But you been to Vegas with any guys from the street?
Yeah, a few of them. Tony Bellisi is one of them. He was a character. I'm saying, what are you doing? He had to give his palm, his fingerprints.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he was a felon. But,
yeah.
But the OC is everything.
Yeah, well, that's the thing,
But those are some of the stories that we talk about. The guys that came in here, Tony came in here. They all came.
Yeah.
They all came in here to see this guy. I'm not gloating, but if you had a, you can't hear it from guys who never were around him or visit him once in a while or met him 10 times.
He was
a lot
funny.
Of guys out
He was
there that lie
funny.
about how good friends they were about him.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
listen.
Some didn't even meet him.
Yeah, but you do what they do. I wish them well. I don't wish anybody bad. I hope everybody makes money.
That's it.
And they're happy and be safe, But all I can tell you from experience, and I had but the characters that would come in. There was a guy that hung around the neighborhood. Everybody knew he was a bartender. Remember Joe Fish?
Joe Fish, I know Joe.
This Joe Fish, gambler, bartender, worked all the bars, like around the Conduit, all the joints.
Yep.
Joe Fish was, I would talk about Johnny respected him, Gene, they all liked him.
Everybody.
Hey, Joe Fish. Johnny, say hello, John, was an act, always dressed nice, Joe, class act, always not afraid to throw money in a bar. One of them guys that just was a visitor. He used to visit the Richie's Club or John's Club. He was welcome everywhere. Joe Fish.
But that's because he took care of everybody when they came in by his places.
And he was a gentleman.
Yep.
He never presented himself the wrong way. And Joe Fish, you gave him a hard time, he get in your face.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
He wasn't no slouch.
These are some of the characters I'm trying to to tell you about. But so imagine out here when we film, when we get it going, you have guys milling about out here. You got guys inside here, and you're gonna pick and choose, and you're gonna hear their names, and the guys playing each guy that we have, that we want to play, the guys we're gonna reveal first, the stories. I'm gonna start off with about 35, 40 episodes that I wrote. So I have enough that lasts us for a couple of years. I think we're gonna do a different version of shooting the video, Kevin. Instead of long-winded hour shows that can get boring, and I'm trying to do some shorts. We might do some scripted shorts, 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. You're gonna get a story from completion with the guys reenacted, playing it, and then that's it. So we could throw a couple of these episodes a week, so they can keep you guys busy. Because I think sometimes we're gonna try it. We're gonna try different versions. I'm gonna shoot an hour episode. Half-hour episodes. I'm gonna shoot some 5-minute, what we call micro shorts. You're gonna see them. I have them. I wrote them all out already. You guys are gonna get happy with it. They're gonna be fun because they're gonna be right to the point.
That's right.
No bullshit. You're gonna see guys interact.
And they're all into it too. They're all ready to go.
Oh yeah, they're all ready to go. All I hear, I said, well,
Come on.
you have to plan it because it isn't like we're gonna film it once a week, every week. We're gonna knock out a bunch of tapings. So I need like 2 or 3 clear weeks with them. But I'm working on it. It'll be fine. But I want you to see it. That's why I want you to hit the like button, tell your friends, become subscribers. And if you want to join the club, I'm telling you, it's going to be up there next week. You want to be up there because we're going to show it on every taped episode. You're going to see your name. So it'll be cool.
That's
Members
right.
that have Red Doors, you're going to see it. So, but if you want to, let me know. Reach out to me. There's different ways to do it. Whatever you could do. If not, I still want you to be fans of the podcast and the show. We're going to come out with more stories. I want you to tell a story that you told me years ago about you and your friend Hal.
Crazy man.
Crazy man. Tell them how crazy he was.
He was nuts. He turned around. What do you call it?
Who was he? Who was he? Who was he like related to?
I don't want to mention that.
Okay, so but he
I
was
don't
a
wanna-
friend.
He was somebody very, very respectful.
Okay.
His brother-in-law.
Okay.
But you know something? As crazy as he was, one thing I gotta say: do not curse in front of a woman.
Oh, see,
Okay.
that's
And he was really nuts with that. And he's another one that was afraid of boats. Okay, he was on my boat.
boats, planes.
His wife was with me. She says, he wakes up, he's gonna kill us all. I said, listen, that's what he's gonna have to do because I'm going out with the boat. And I came back and he started screaming. I mean, screaming. Hey, take it easy. I got people sleeping over here on their boats. That I wound up leaving, taking his wife back to Bensonhurst, because that's what they lived. Turn around back to Bensonhurst and turn around, what do you call it? Here he is on the opposite side when I'm going back to Long
How
Island.
tough was he?
Oh, he was tough.
Okay.
He was tough. He didn't fear nobody or nothing.
A lot of guys, white guys, were afraid of him.
Yes. And Vito Genovese wanted him with him so bad. And
Really?
he said to him, listen, I'm on my own.
A lot
I'm
of
on my
guys are
own.
like that. You'd be surprised. A lot of guys are
But
independent.
you needed him, he was there. He was
Did
there.
he go to jail a lot of times?
Yeah, he went to jail.
How many times?
A few times. Went away for a murder case and stuff. He was out of the Bronx.
Okay.
You know, but
But
turned around, he was a
lot of
tough,
guys
tough
feared
guy.
him. A lot of so-called tough guys stayed away from him.
Yeah,
Right?
because he was nuts.
I heard the stories from you, but I also heard the stories from a couple of the guys who mentioned him in passing. You know. And
My daughters, my
that's all
daughter.
they knew him as Hap.
My daughter used to call him Uncle Baldy, and she loved him, you know. And she was small though, but you know
What was
something.
his first name?
Bobby,
Bobby. Robbie.
Bobby. I'll tell you his name. Bobby Furio was his name.
Just a nice name, Furios.
Yep. But turn around,
I
you know.
want you to know guys from the past that you wouldn't know. You couldn't open up a encyclopedia and find out about him.
Huh.
I'd only heard from him. He had a reputation and went through life. But
He went to the loony bin. He pulled that case where he had a guy's bone on his freaking chain.
Oh.
He said to him, "Yeah," and he told the judge says, "You're a psych." You know, he went to Mattawan. That was it for the criminally insane.
I gotta tell guys, how many guys you know that watch our show that know the past that know Bobby O'Hara?
Oh yeah, there's Bobby.
You guys never heard of
Bobby's
Bobby
another.
O'Hara? O'Hara's not his last name, but I think I mentioned his name. He was Tony Pep's uncle, right? Yeah,
Yep.
Tony Pep's uncle.
Yeah.
Bobby was, if you met the guy, you would think he was a calm hippie pop. He was very calm, talked slow, nice, genuine. A sicko.
Yep. You know who's another one?
What?
Tommy Carbone. Remember Tommy
All
Carbone?
these guys
The
all
Joker.
came- but they all
He came from East New York.
Yeah, they all came. Johnny told a story about Bobby driving his motorcycle. Some guy he was looking for that did something to him or did something to a friend of his. Bobby used to drive, was a Harley driver. You know, was one of them guys. Drove through the bar, through the plain glass window, grabbed the guy and dragged him out of the bar on a motorcycle, dragged him on. Listen, I know a couple times, you know, when Johnny called him in, you know, I remember Charlie Deke. He sent Charlie Deke. Bobby was in Allenwood doing like a 3-year bid. You know, it was a minimum security, but it was whatever. I think his bid was they brought him for a grand jury and he kept his mouth shut, so they gave him that grand jury charge. So he was in Allenwood, and Charlie Deke, we take a ride with Charlie Deke to Allenwood to go visit him. And we go to the gate, we go to the thing at the you know, the set, you know, at the place where you meet the barking center to meet, and says he's not here. I says, where is he? He says, he's out there. What are you doing? He went for a walk. There's no gate in Allenwood. He just go for a walk through the farm. And says, yeah, there's no gates. He says, why would a guy want to escape from here? Get 5 years. He says, they can walk everywhere.
Anywhere.
But
that was minimum
and
security.
Bobby would come. He says, how you doing? So I got to get out of here. This place is boring. So I got politicians and scumbag CEOs here. They're the worst weasel rats I ever met in my life.
Yeah.
He said, I don't mind hanging out with street guys, but them guys, you're free to do anything. They give you up for 2 seconds. But that was Bobby. Was he a tough guy?
He was.
You
he
think
was
he
tough.
did?
Yep.
You think he did a few? Had
Yeah.
some work under his belt.
Oh yeah, without a
You
doubt.
guys wouldn't know him if I didn't mention him. You know. So, but if you guys knew Tony Pep, a long time knew him. But these are characters that just went through the system. Independence. Bobby was on his own, like your friend Hap. He didn't want to be left alone. Bobby is lived in Left Rack City with his wife. Married Jewish woman. They lived in Left Rack City. I used to stop by and see him one time. What a guy. I mean, what a, you know, didn't have 3 cents. He had a few dollars. He had saved up. He had a pension, whatever. They gave him a union book pension. But just you wouldn't know if you were walking down the street, if an idiot was walking down the street and push him out of the way. They didn't know the guy would probably chop him up in 35 pieces and throw him in the street. They would. How many guys you know like that,
Oh,
right?
forget it.
They're
Forget it.
Very casual. Like somebody, how many guys you hear about or you read about, they can't stop talking about how tough they are. These guys you would never know, right?
They would never know.
And that was a world back then, you know. And you know, it's a.
Hap's wife used to tell him, "Calm down, calm down."
calm
She was
down, calm
she was a
down.
gem. I
You're gonna
miss her. Her whole family died during the coronavirus.
Wow.
All right, and she was a good woman. You know, they wind up splitting up. I got to tell you a funny thing. Like, as much as Hap hated water, I said to her, Ree, his wife's name was Ree. I said, Ree, where'd you bury him? in St. Raymond's in the Bronx? She says, no, I threw them in the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah,
I
she's coming
says,
to 'em.
yeah, you know.
So
But-
I want to get back to you. So we're gonna do another show in a few days. Maybe do from inside. Maybe we'll have Jamie here or something. We'll talk some more. I want to thank you guys for watching. Like I said, please subscribe and like. If I don't talk to you, I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Stay safe with your families. God bless. And I wish everybody out there, whoever's trying to make money and do something for themselves, whatever it is.
Wish you a lot of luck.
Wish you a lot of luck, man. No hate here. We love everybody who's trying. And, you know.
Make money.
Be good to everybody. Take care. You have a great day, guys. Thank you.
God bless.